Hey boys and girls, this is our last writing lesson, and you probably are thinking, hey, we did revising and we're skipping to publishing. We skipped a step. Yep, we're going to skip editing. Hopefully you can find somebody who will check your spelling, capitalization, punctuation, and help you with those things. But I don't think we're going to spend lesson time trying to do that remotely. Your parents are allowed to help you with that if you need help with that and cleaning up your spelling. I'm not that part of the rubric. I'm just going to skip. But one fun thing with publishing that I would like you to do, if you have time, would be to think about a dedication. So a dedication is something the writer decides to use to honor someone or something in his writing or her writing. The writer includes a sentence or two about the person or the thing that she or he wants to honor. So a couple of authors, I'm just going to pull up and read you their dedication. So this is from Great Fire, Jim Murphy. And Jim Murphy writes, "For Janet and Arthur, good neighbors and good friends, and for their son Lucas, whose smile can light up a room." That's a really good dedication. So we know that he decided to dedicate the writing to his neighbors. He calls them good friends and their son. So that's a real big honor. Something about them must have really triggered a love of either the story or maybe, I don't know, maybe they were just really good helpers while he was doing all the hard work of writing. We don't really know exactly why he chose them, but we know that that's a big honor, that he must really like them. The next one that I'm choosing is from Into the Sea, the one about the sea turtles. And Brenda writes, "For the toothless turtle, a survivor of wetlands, woodlands, oceans, and deserts for more than 200 million years." So Brenda dedicates her book to the toothless turtle. Writers don't always have to honor a person with their writing. Sometimes they honor the very subject about which they're writing, like Brenda does. So think about who or what you would like to honor in your dedication. Think about, on this slide it says someone who has inspired you, someone who's helped you with your writing, someone you admire, the topic of your writing, a group of people you admire, or someone or something else that's meaningful to you. Your dedication doesn't have to be long. 1 or 2 sentences or 1 to 3 sentences is usually just right. The other thing that you can do is an about the author. And so you can write a little bit about yourself as an author. And what I'm going to ask you to do for this is just in your draft, just add a dedication slide at the beginning, and then you would add an about the author slide at the end. And if you want to add a picture of yourself, like if you have yourself with a little, if mine was about planting, I might put a picture of me in my garden, or you with your dog, or you with, whatever your topic is. So Martin Jenkins in the back, his about the author page, this is the 8th book. In the back of his author page sounds like this. Martin Jenkins, a conservation biologist, has written several nonfiction books for children, including Grandma Elephant's in Charge, Chameleons Are Cool, and The Emperor's Egg. He says, "Many years ago, I was introduced to some young chimpanzees that had been rescued from smugglers. They all crowded around, looking closely at me and trying to shake my hand. I'll never forget how human their expressions were, how desperate they were to make contact. Since then, I've always wanted to do a book about them and their relatives." Martin Jenkins lives in Cambridge, England. So you can see that about the author page is related to why he chose to write this book. It also gives some personal information, like the fact that he lives in England and some of the other books that he's written. I think adding that all the books that he's written kind of establishes himself as an expert. He describes himself as a biologist, so that's a kind of scientist. Um, but the big part of that about the author page is why he chose this topic. And so on your About the Author page, you might want to write about yourself, and how you would write. And they wrote it in third person. Did you notice that? It says Martin Jenkins did this. And so you might want to try that, or have somebody else maybe write an about the author about you, maybe if you do an interview. But yeah, you can just kind of share something about where that personal connection is for this topic. All right, and that's our last lesson. Once you add those two things in, you're free to turn in your writing. The rubrics will be attached to different lessons, so just check those rubrics to see kind of where you fell between the outstanding and between the just beginning. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed writing nonfiction. It certainly was a little bit different than I usually do this unit, but I felt like it was important for us to practice informative writing one more time before we went on to fifth grade. You'll have lots of writing units with your new fifth grade teachers, and I'm amazed always about the great pieces that you produce, and the way that you really think about yourselves as authors. So I'm super proud of you, and all this writing that you've done at home through videos. So give yourself a big pat on the back and a big hug from me.